It's 12:30 a.m.
Mm.
12:30. Oh, you are a trooper. Welcome,
I
welcome.
had to
Well, we're
be
gonna we're gonna try to keep you awake a little longer.
there.
Welcome, Pedro. You've been waiting for us for a minute. Welcome, welcome. Um, I know what this name is, and I know how it's pronounced. At least it's been told to me how to pronounce it. But why do I want to make it something else?
Mm.
Is it? Oh, I know. Okay, I know it's not this, but Ermione. Am I saying it right? I know I'm not. Hermione. Well, just stop me.
Is it
When
Hermione?
huh? No,
Hermione.
Hermione.
No.
I don't think so. It
Oh,
believe me, it's a simple pronunciation that I always make hard. But anyway, we're going to jump right in. It is a super exciting day. Exciting time for sickle cell anemia. And those of us that are neck deep in all the things sickle cell events, sickle cell just topics, um, it's an exciting time, and I will just give you some brief greetings because we got some heavy hitters on the call tonight, and I will let them do their thing and give you their greetings. I am Dr. Tamia Austin, and I have the honor and privilege of leading the As One Foundation that serves with the mission to empower families globally, delivering life-saving sickle cell education. And your trait space, this trait space, your safe space, came about as a result of a brief conversation with a transitioning warrior who had completed a bone marrow transplant. And I'm not, I think maybe, did I get that wrong? I know a transplant of some kind, and basically said, I know about sickle cell disease. I know nothing about sickle cell trait. Does the As One Foundation have a support group? And at that time, we did not, but we did some work together. And a few short months later, in January of this year, we started the Trait Space. And it is a place that the As One Foundation is so honored to host. It is no wrong answers here. This is your safe space. We are so thrilled to have, I believe we have four dedicated sickle cell trait support groups in that represents this community. And I know when I started in this space some 15 years ago, there were none. So that is a celebration in itself. But this is specifically to provide a safe space for people that want to learn and express their issues living with sickle cell trait. And the person that asked me that question is so ready, looking so good, looking just as healthy as she needs to be, Lord, please. We keep her in our prayers, we cover her in our prayers, but she is our brainchild, and that is Genesis Jones. Please, Genesis, introduce yourself.
Hi, Dr. Austin. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Genesis. I am a sickle cell warrior, as well as coming up on 4 years post-transplant in September. Like Dr. Austin said, we met almost about a year ago, talking about, a space for people that are, like me, post-transplant, looking for a safe space to talk about the transition, the fears and doubts, or the conversations that need to be had for people that have trait now, and also people that are experiencing, just the questions and the things that they're wondering about for what they have with trait. as well as people that are, now will be coming out for post-transplant. So this is what Trait Space is about, and I'm glad that you guys are here. We have a guest speaker today, Mia Robinson, who will be talking about not only her story, but shedding some light on budgeting your energy and how, as warriors, we are always about doing stuff because, sometimes we feel like, oh, we might be in the hospital like within an instant. So she will be giving us some tips and tricks on how we can budget our energy, as well as talking about the new Netflix show, Supercell, that came out. We will have a great discussion on our thoughts on what we thought about it, what we really feel where it's going, as well as just, overall the discussion of Supercell. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to Mia and allow her to introduce herself, because I feel like there's no great introduction, because she is just wonderful within herself with everything that she does within the sickle cell space. So Mia, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Thanks, Genesis. Thanks, Dr. Austin. Hello, everyone. I kind of feel odd for speaking about budgeting energy because I am all over the place with sickle cell advocacy. But even within that, this is where I came up with the term of budgeting energy, which we'll talk about later. But I have sickle cell myself. I have sickle cell type SC, which most doctors say it's a milder version of the disease. I kind of feel like it's not necessarily milder, but maybe more silent or more invisible. Um, so yes, I'm excited to be here to just kind of share my journey with sickle cell, share my journey with advocacy and how I came to this idea of budgeting energy. So thank you guys.
I just would like to just cut in and say that, again, it's 6 of us on this right now, along with some recordings, but we do have an audience that reviews this content, which is why it's being recorded. It goes right to our YouTube page. So think about the future audience as well. Somebody has a need to hear what you have to say. And I am so appreciative to Genesis for bringing this idea to us. And I mean, we have let some monthly health topics lead the way. For us, this month it is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. We spent quite a few months on mental health, and it's because it's that important. But our conversation can go wherever the conversation leads us. So I feel if it's okay with everyone to just allow everyone to have a brief introduction, if you so choose. We have Grace and Mwape and Pedro on the screen. If you don't mind unmuting and just say hello, tell us where you are, and if you are willing, tell us your genotype and if you have a brief sickle cell story. Grace, go ahead, Grace.
Okay, I'm Grace, and I'm in Georgia. I'm in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and I have sickle cell trait, and I am just learning about the many ways in which it affects the body that I had no idea of. I'm going down that road of trying to advocate a little bit more for myself, and if that means switching doctors over and over again so that I can get somewhere where I feel the person has a little bit more knowledge, that I want to be able to do that without feeling bad about it. So that's really where I am now. I'm just trying to find out how the body is affected, and just to really have the feeling that it's okay to say to a doctor, I need to be somewhere where somebody has more knowledge.
Awesome. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you.
There's some good stuff just in those few sentences, right? Mwape Miller.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. So I'm Wape and I'm based in Leeds, UK. It's 12:30 a.m., but I had to be here. I was excited when I heard Dr. Austin talk about it at the last panel discussion that we had, and I had to be here. And I have sickle cell trait, and I've been symptomatic ever since the age of 5. I present like I have sickle cell anemia, and I tend to have at least, well, prior to the past 4 years, my body is still recovering from a major crisis, complications of which are just beginning to kind of settle and calm down now. And I recently had a gynae surgery to remove the lining of my uterus because it was triggering, my menses was triggering crisis on a monthly basis where I couldn't walk. And my menses have always kind of triggered crisis since my teenage years. So it's been rough, but the last 4 years have been crazy, and that kind of prompted my sickle cell trait advocacy journey. Now I'm like speaking out loud and proud of where I've come from, where I'm at. And I met Dr. Austin. She gave me hope that sickle cell trait is recognized, is being recognized in a smaller space, but at least now, 4 years down the line, Dr. Austin, we've known each other for years. And after writing my book, she bought it, and that gave me even more hope that, people are talking about it. And I'm continually advocating. We host, Grace was one of my guests on the panel. Dr. Austin's one of my esteemed guests and my heroine, and she's given me hope. So yeah, I'm here, I'm with you guys. I'm advocating as loudly as possible about sickle cell trait, and thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Wape. Pedro, are you willing to read us?
So for me, I haven't had issues with my sickle cell like until my until I had 27, where I started feeling like crippling pain in my hands and arms. Um, at first I used to think it was more of, oh, I was born premature. Probably my body wasn't completely. I was thinking it was more of that, but then later um I had more blood work done, and they said that probably my sickle cell was the cause for a lot of the pain. I was actually surprised that I was even that could have even been a cause, because like my grandmother, she we attributed her pain to her diabetes, not the sickle cell. And I used to think that even with the sickle cell, I thought it was more of like I would have to wait till I was maybe 45, 50 to start dealing with it. But it
Where
started to
are
hit
you?
me, especially when I'm working. There are days where
So
I don't even
where
know
are
I'm
you
doing.
in the world?
I live in Florida,
Okay, cool.
in South Florida.
And do you mind distinguishing whether you have sickle cell or sickle cell trait?
I have the trait. Um, as far back as I know, I think it started with my great grandmother on my maternal grandmother's side.
Hmm. Well, welcome. Thank you all so much for allowing me to put you on the spot. Mape, there's a request in the chat for the name of your book, so please put that in the chat. But without further ado, Mia Superstar Budget Your Energy Robinson, please edify us tonight.
So, just to give a brief overview of what I've been through as someone living with sickle cell type SC disease. I've had both of my hips replaced at the age of 28. I have retinal issues. I have hearing issues. I have my shoulders, the joints are breaking down. My spine is changing form. However, when I present to someone, you can't tell any of this is going on. And I've been in advocacy full time, like I have 10 years actually. Yeah. Um, and I love the work that I do, but even though I love the work so much, it can drain me. It can send me into a crisis because of being burnt out, because of being stressed. We know that burnout and stress alone can take out the average person, even without sickle cell disease. And for me, that's a scary thought. So I actually had to leave my job, a government job in 2016, because it had gotten to the point where I was in the hospital every 3 months. And that's when I devoted my time to more advocacy stuff. And I've gotten so heavy into advocacy that I find myself getting close to the situation I was when I was working at the government job. And I was like, there has to be a balance. And I know we preach self-care, and I know we preach all these things. I kind of feel like people think self-care is a myth. We talk about it, but how many people actually do it? So this idea of budgeting my energy came about, and it's really, you have to budget energy for work. If you're a parent, you have to budget energy for your kids. If you are a caregiver, you have to budget energy for that. I'm a caregiver of my mom, so I have to budget energy to make sure she has what she needs. And for me, it's a way of staying sane. Not only staying sane mentally, but staying physically healthy. As someone living with sickle cell, we are easily triggered simply because the room is too cold, simply because it's winter outside, simply because I wanted to walk to get some exercise today, and maybe I just did a little too much, simply because I jumped in a pool on a hot day. So I had to incorporate this budgeting energy into my own life. And once I came up with the term, at least I thought I did, I started to gravitate more ideas, or more ideas in that realm started to gravitate to me. There's this idea of spoon theory, which puts an image to the idea of budgeting energy. And to explain that, let's say everybody is given 10 spoons a day. The spoons represent your energy. Sometimes if it takes you one whole spoon to just get out of the bed in the morning, you got 9 spoons left. Work alone could take up about 4 spoons, right? I feel like you need to at least save 1 spoon. If nothing else, save 1 spoon for yourself, because we have to learn how to refuel ourselves and refresh ourselves, because we can't pour from an empty cup. And I honestly feel like if I work myself into a crisis, then not only am I no good for the sickle cell community, I'm no good to anybody, not even myself. I can't take care of my mom. Yeah, I can't take care of my mom. I can't do what I need to do for myself because I'm just completely depleted. So I tell my friends often, hey, make sure you budget your energy. And now I've gotten to a place where I can give a non-guilty no. I can say no confidently because I know I'm taking care of myself. I can't allow anyone else to put work or pressures on me or pile up my plate, because I don't have the capacity. I don't have no more room on my plate for anything else. And even when there was a moment where I see where people need help because they have overloaded their plate, it's not my responsibility to, if I have the capacity to help, if I have the energy because I've budgeted properly, then I'll help. But if I don't, I can give a confident no and I not feel guilty about it. so deep in that place now. And it took me some time to get here, but it's a necessary. Nobody likes going into the hospital, sickle cell or not. And because we have sickle cell, we are not only fighting our bodies, but when we go to the hospital, we have to fight with the people in the hospital. We have to fight with the doctors. We have to fight with the staff. So when I get to the hospital, I don't have no energy for that. So I want to avoid even getting to the point where I need to get to the hospital. And that's where the budgeting energy comes in. It's just like, okay, I have a hard stop time at 8 o'clock. I'm giving you leeway tonight because I know this
Thank
runs in.
you.
But that's because Dr. Austin, you told me well in advance. I knew it was from 7:30 to 8:30. So I made sure that I had enough energy. I budgeted energy for this session because I wanted to come on because Dr. Austin asked me. If you let me know ahead of time, I can budget energy for that. Even with my mom, she's not driving anymore. And she's used to just getting up and going. I said, Mom, you can't do that anymore. Cause she might be like, well, can you take me here? Ooh, I done already did this, that, and the other. I don't have the energy, Mom. She might get mad a lot of the times, but if I don't have the energy, if I didn't budget it, you didn't tell me in advance. I didn't have enough time to budget energy for that. So she gets mad sometimes, and I understand that emergencies happen, and some every now and then you do get sidetracked and you deal with it at that time. But if enough forewarning is given to me, I can make energy. I can budget my energy to be able to do the things that I need to do, the things I've committed to doing for other people or whatever it is. So budgeting energy is super important to me in maintaining my physical, mental, and even my spiritual health because it's just a way of how I refuel myself in order to be of service to other people. So I hope that helps. And that's really for anybody. Like I said, stress will take out the normal person, the average person. So you can imagine a person with sickle cell that's stressed out. And I just want to avoid the hospital at all costs. When I go to the hospital, I want it to be because I'm talking to the doctors and the students and the staff about sickle cell. It's not, I don't want to go there because I need to be. Um, and in those cases, sometimes we can't control that. But you deal with that when it comes. But that's where I get the idea of budgeting energy from. And I shared that with some of my friends. They use it now. And it's been really helpful for me. So I really hope that you guys can think about that. I'll put the spoon theory in the chat so you can Google it and kind of get that mental image of what budgeting energy is. But definitely think about that. Make sure you take care of yourselves and you have enough energy to be able to do the things that you're doing because you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Thank you. That is that image, that spoon thing. Got it. Totally got it.
yeah.
And I think I might be the oldest person on this call, and Mia is my mentor in just even trying to drum up the courage to budget energy, to have a guilt-free, confident no. And
Yeah.
and you know and y'all, since our last meeting, I became the subject of my own education and awareness because I've had some health challenges recently. I just happened to ask my doctor to do, she was ordering some routine blood work, and I asked her to order hemoglobinopathy blood work. And she questioned it, of course. And I'm like, look, I'm out here in these sickle cell trait streets, advocating and educating people on the importance of knowing their status. I need to know. And I have been tested by the Sickle Dex, and both of those tests yielded a negative diagnosis. But I was diagnosed with alpha thalassemia trait at 52 years old. So it's not a sickle cell trait. It is an alpha thalassemia trait. But I feel a part of the family for real now. But I have, look, I'm Black. I'm a Black woman. I'm a woman of African descent. Grandpa says we also have American Indian ancestors. And thinking about the juxtaposition of this being African or Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, we show up with the potential for deficit in all kinds of ways. And then when you start talking about budgeting energy, with sickle cell, we're talking about science. There is science that is explaining why you're feeling so tired. For sickle cell trait, chronic fatigue is the #1 symptom. That is science. So an athlete or person that works an outdoor exertional job, they need more time to recover because their blood cells need more time to regenerate. That's not lazy. That's not being a hypochondriac. That's science happening within their blood thing. And then you put that mental stuff on it. You put that emotional stuff on it. How, the filters of life, of showing up as a person of minority descent, or just a person with life, lifing. I just think it's such an important lesson for all of us to strive to master in budgeting our energy. And in those moments when we haven't budgeted so well, what if we had a superpower? Y'all like that segue?
Yeah. I have a question, Mia.
Okay.
Sure.
So how did you get to the state of where you got to this point? Like, how did you get to where you were able to say the no's and say, I don't have enough energy for this particular moment? Or like, how did you go from point A to point B? Because I know it's not easy to, budget out that time or budget out that energy for each particular moment or event. So how did you, I guess, change that mindset?
So once I stopped working for someone else, let's just say that, I started picking up different advocacy opportunities. So that could be working with the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia, that could be working for the Sickle Cell Consortium, that could be working with the pharmaceutical company that needs my help in anything. And I started to pile a lot of stuff on my plate. And it was like, wait a minute, my plate is becoming unbalanced. And I've kind of feel like my trauma from the hospital encouraged me to balance that plate even more. Cause it's like, I don't want to go to the hospital and fight. I don't want to deal with those people. I want to stay as healthy as I can to even avoid getting to that point. So I think my want for not going to the hospital played a part in it, and my want for advocacy and to make change in this world. And I know that whether if I'm in the hospital or dealing with the crisis at home, I can't do what I love. I'm a disservice to the sickle cell community, including the trade. And I guess because I love that so much, I just have to figure out how to balance that plate. So budgeting my time. So most of the time when either of these organizations or companies call me, hey, can you do such and such at such and such a time on such and such a day? Okay, I know to budget my energy for that. And I'm a big planner. Usually Sundays, I plan out my week. Do I have appointments this week? Does my mom have appointments this week? Does my niece need anything this week? What work do I have to be done this week? So it's a matter of looking at my calendar, knowing what I have to do, And knowing, even if some, I don't like when people call me last minute saying, "Can I go somewhere?" Because it's like, dang, I didn't budget the energy to hang out, so I'm gonna have to pass. But it's real. And now I'm just so used to it. It's just been a matter of learning what I can handle and learning what I can't handle. I don't want to be work so much now until I work myself into a crisis. That's the biggest way I've been able to, the biggest reason I've been able to switch. That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Okay.
My
Hey,
lady, your
Mwape.
hand is up. I'm sorry. You're muted. So
Sorry, I have to kind of press the screen, and I'm using my phone. Yeah, it was kind of just like an agreement, just to agree with what Mia was saying with budgeting energy, because I've noticed, I mean, I think also like you were saying about the saying no and being confident to say no. And that's something that I've had to really learn. I was never really I never really, it was only in the workplace that I really struggled to say no, or like deadlines and working for other people. And now that I'm out of work as such, but kind of doing my own thing, it's like, okay, now I really need to be stricter with myself, but kind of I know my limits and I know how far I can go, what I can do, how much I can give. Um, and like you were saying as well, Mia, just agreeing with you, because like my mom is, she's turning 80 in the next 3 years, and with that aging process comes the natural, like, and like the high blood pressure that she's got, and just knowing her health. And then I have small dogs as well, two small dogs, and my niece, and coming from an African household, it's like, well, I'm the girl, I'm the oldest as well. So that kind of, the pressure's always been on me. And because trait was kind of always taught that it's minimized, but yet when I'm bad, I'm bad. And now I'm seeming to be weaker than I've ever been. So I kind of, as I've grown older, I'm kind of just taking on board everything that I learned before, and now what I know to be true from experience, and just kind of learning as I go along. But just realizing that actually now I don't care if anybody asks me and I can't do it, if I can't attend something, if I can't go somewhere, I'm not going to feel bad, because I need to take care of me. Because what happens if I can't, if I just crash? And I definitely, with the way I've fought the last 4 years, I don't want to end up in hospital. The doctors don't believe you when you say you've got the trait, and it's like it's the trauma is that trauma is real. It's so real. It's, yeah, nah. It's
I've
not the
learned how to, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
okay.
I've learned how to say no in different ways as well.
Yeah.
Someone asked me to come to, she called me Friday to come to one of her events on Sunday. And I was already unsure because I had budgeted Sunday as my rest day, knowing that there's a sickle cell convention this week. So I called her back and said, um, how else can I support you? Because I can't make it today. How else can I? Because I want to support that person. I just can't do that today. Or in some cases, like I told my mom, I don't have the capacity to do it right now, or I don't have the capacity to do it today. And people have to learn to respect your boundaries because they're your boundaries, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. I just can't. So Pedro says one thing I've noticed has helped me in the mornings is making fruit smoothies, and frappe has helped me with my energy and temperature balance. That's awesome. Just wanted to share this. Strawberries mixed with blueberries is one of my favorites. Nice. And I'm incorporating, I've made sure we have a sickle cell sanctuary here in Georgia, Grace. Warriors can get services for free. I'm not sure where they are with Trait Warriors, but they do have services like massage therapy, reflexology, infusions. I know infusions are really good for people with trait, and it's like an infusion of vitamins. And alternative, they have supplements. So they have alternative ways in dealing with sickle cell. And the doctor is very knowledgeable. So I'm sure he can give some advice with the trait as well. But just kind of incorporating those alternative therapies, those alternative methods of medication, I think will help build my energy so that I can do more without just burning out. So. And I will say that having sickle cell, both having sickle cell, the disease, and being a sickle cell advocate are two superpowers that I have. When I tell people about what I've been through, I'm like, dang, I feel kind of superhuman because I'm still here. I'm 41 and I've lived through so much. A lot of my friends didn't even make it to 40. So that's a superpower within itself. And as an advocate, the way I fight the doctors and the nurses and everything else, that's my superpower. So I just use it. It empowers me.
That's how I feel with my hydrocephalus. I've had 7 brain surgeries.
Wow.
My first surgery, the doctors actually wanted to wait till I was almost unable to talk and then see what they could do. That was back in Puerto Rico. And thankfully, I have some badass parents where they fought and fought. Had my first surgery in Chicago, and I've had around like 7 surgeries ever since. I am so far 10 years surgery free.
Nice. You are
Awesome.
definitely superhuman.
Awesome. Well, Mia, can you give us the tea? When is this is it Rap Man that's coming to the Warrior Convention?
Yes, Rap Man. I was a little concerned about if he would come or not, but they've confirmed that he is coming.
Do you know what
Here in
day?
Georgia. I'm in Atlanta. He's coming on Saturday, the 20th. There will be like a meet and greet, I believe, at 3, and the consortium wants to present him with an awareness award. And I think it's really awesome. Even though the science of in the movie is kind of
Yeah.
off, it is sci-fi, it is fictional, it is a dream world. Because who wouldn't? I feel like I got super strength, not enough to pick up a car, but I still have super strength. But who wouldn't want to teleport or be invisible or things like that? Um, that's a fictional world. So I mean, I'm grateful that he still included some type of awareness into his writing, and I can't wait for the next season.
You.
He'll,
Oh, so do you know if the session that he's doing on Saturday will be streamed?
I don't know. That would be good if it is though. I
Yeah.
think the Royal Ball will definitely be streamed, but if the meet and greet will be streamed, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Wait, there's a
y'all, go ahead, Pedro.
there's a convention too for sickle cell trait.
It's for all warriors, even trait warriors. So there will be sessions that discuss the trait. Yes.
Huh, interesting. So far the only conventions that I knew about is for my other condition for hydrocephalus. Like last year there was one in Texas. Sadly, I wasn't able to make that one. But
How did you
in
hear about this?
next month, I'm going to one in Tampa.
Nice. And I put the website
Oh,
in
cool.
the chat. Like I said, they do have a virtual aspect. Grace, and for everybody, the registration's only $25, but for everything that you get, I think that's awesome.
Yes.
The $25 includes a ticket to the Royal Ball where he'll be. The ticket covers the entire week. So if you're able to join virtually or in person or whatever, I definitely think you should take advantage of it. A lot of the sessions will be streamed, so you can still get that trait information in those trait sessions. So
I'll be there.
Now,
Thank
You
you.
awesome. Awesome.
I'm
But is
registered.
everybody on this support group right now familiar with Supercell and watched all episodes so we can spoiler alert it?
Oh, you can spoiler
Pedro.
alert, but I haven't watched it yet. I need to
Pedro,
stream it.
have you seen the Netflix special Supercell?
Oh, no, I'm actually gonna add that to my app now.
Can I spoil it for you?
Eh,
Yes.
Well, I'm not gonna spoil it bad, but
Hey.
basically, it's a Netflix special. Mwape. It is British based,
I know.
and it is only 6 episodes, so you literally could binge it. But
Mhm.
all of the superheroes have sickle cell trait, and their trait gene has been modified.
Oh, wow.
So
Um,
I'm kind of
Wow.
correct, Dr. Austin.
okay,
Uh-huh.
correct me.
So,
They're not.
and there's a clip of Rap Man talking about this, and I don't know why he wrote it the way he wrote it. So, the parent of a couple of the superheroes have
Mhm.
sickle cell disease. However, the children didn't even get the trait. So somehow they got, that's why I said the science doesn't make sense, but it is a sci-fi, it's fictional. And he says this, I'll personally send you the clip. So
Uh-huh.
even though they didn't inherit the trait, they um even though they didn't inherit the trait, they got this super gene that turned into a superhero.
That's
So it's
crazy.
like I said, the science doesn't make sense because even in the first episode, the mom was like, the mom has a disease, and she's like, he doesn't even have the trait. And I'm like,
Was that when she
maybe,
was in hospital?
Yeah, she does say that.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe
Does
she has.
say that. Look, she does say that, and I honestly think that is art imitating life, because y'all know that there's so much misinformation already out here in the real world about
Mhm.
sickle cell and sickle cell trait. So people say things out of ignorance. They just think about taboo, think about religion, think about all of those things. You know,
Mhm.
I've had people, and I don't refute them, I've had people to tell me that they've been healed and that
Mm.
their children don't have it.
Yeah.
I've even worked
think
with
that
a
was-
father who did not, he realized the kid that he had been paying child support for was not his child because he did not have sickle cell trait. And so it's just all kinds of stuff going on out here in the wild, wild west.
Wow.
This is where I fall. So y'all know I have a slide in all my presentations that talks about what happens every October here in the United States. And is it also in the UK? The world turns pink in October. Why?
Uh-huh. Yep. Breast cancer.
And so in public health, that is called universal education. Everyone is not diagnosed with breast cancer. Everyone's not going to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And I think, I always quote this number, but I believe the numbers are 165,000 people living with breast cancer on an annual basis in the United States. 165,000. And we're talking about 2 to 4 million. I honestly think that number is way bigger for trait, and about 100,000. And I would say that number is also bigger with disease. But the world turns pink in October, and everyone's being educated on billboards, on bus signs, on fire trucks, the football game. Everything is pink because so it's targeted, but it's targeted universally, and that's the way I see Supercell. It's such a normalization. It's such a normalization, and then people were referring to our warrior sibling, Sharika, Princess Sharika Wells, who wrote Supercell, a book. It's like, hey, Sharika must be onto something. And I got about 200 titles for a children's series that I've had on my computer for years. So, and I've even had a warrior tell me that She was a wrestler in college with sickle cell disease,
Wow.
a college wrestler. And she's of African descent, living
Mhm.
in the United States, and her parents did the whole taboo thing. They did not talk about it. They just let her know, you know what you have to do in order to be able to do things like wrestle, and you got to get your grades. So she says she's the first person that I heard say, I consider my sickle cell a superpower. And she said, I wish that all of my sickle siblings felt about it in that way, because that way it's not a burden. It is, you don't know what I'm going through, and I'm
Mhm.
getting through it. It was such an empowering way she expressed it, and I'm doing it no justice. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that he gets multiple seasons to address all of this stuff that we are having, that we're questioning. But I ain't surprised that it's just a thing that people could think that. But I did read it. I didn't see a clip, Mia. I read that all of the superheroes had sickle cell traits. I
Wow.
didn't see the clip, but that's fine. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it.
And you know
Mhm.
what?
It overtook Bridgerton.
Yes,
It
it did.
could.
It overtook Bridgerton.
And you know what? Before I even heard about Princess Book, there's a young man here. He don't even acknowledge sickle cells because he call his super cells because of what
Wow.
he's gone through. He's gone through a stroke. He's gone through so many things. So when he does his public speaking at these different universities, he might mention sickle cell once. He's like, and when he does, he's like, I don't call it sickle cells. I call mine super cells because it's made me super. It's made me go through all these things to be able to be present to you today to talk about it. So when he saw Princess come out with it, he was like, dang, I can't even keep the name now. He still says it, but yeah, he was the first person I heard that called it super
Mm.
cell.
That's
Grace,
powerful.
have you seen it? Genesis, you've obviously seen it, right?
Sorry, not yet.
Okay. Well, I hope y'all will watch it. I mean, it is not science. It is not. You're not gonna walk away from it. But look,
I would like to give
every
him
movie that's about,
copy. I would like to give him copies of my books.
yes. I mean, I just like, we need more. So now we have supercells. We have, it was on Power. So there's been storylines on Power, The Shy, The Resident, and I think the other one was, isn't on. It's like a
Was it on the
medical.
show?
It was on The Shy. The dark skinned girl who's, she was abducted a few seasons ago.
Oh,
Her kid has sickle cell, but turns out the father is the other guy that's the wannabe gangster. Under whatever. But they did a good job, and it was on the last episode of this was the mid season finale
okay.
with Ghost
Mhm.
and the white character
Girlfriend.
Tariq's friend
Mm-hmm.
is the girlfriend that he has. He has sickle cell disease, and now obviously she's using drugs to manage it. She's using cocaine actually to manage it, but she has a really important line about, I don't talk about it, I whatever, but I just don't want to be judged, and it just rings so true. And I just really appreciate, whoever is writing this into, yeah, the good doctor, that's the one I was trying to think of.
The ones that I
Actually,
just
no.
posted. So no, these two that I just posted. I also even though this is not sickle cell, this is my other condition. I just wanted to share these two episodes where they talk about hydrocephalus.
Hmm. The good doctor is not the one that I was thinking of. It's a series. I have it in one of my PowerPoints, but even I mean, it wasn't the greatest representation, but the brother, it was a movie about Ted, it's like Ted or something, and he used it derogatorily.
Mhm.
And then a comedian recent, was it D.L. Hughley? So it's not that sickle cell is always getting great attention, positive, correct attention, but it's being normalized. And I want us to have more and more and more and more and more of it. And I just love to hear those guys say in it, in it, in it.
Think the
Whatever
shot.
in it means. What does in it mean, Mwape?
In it kind of means it's kind of agreeing with someone. It's like if someone says something and you're like, in it, yeah, in it, man.
I think it's the Shy where she had the addiction. Is that it? Or is it Power? Which one where
Power.
okay. I think she gave a really good description of what a crisis feels like. And to be quite honest, watching The Resident, I almost had to turn it off because I was about to be in tears. She was
And
so
she was a
accurate.
recurring character throughout the season.
Yeah. She and what made me tear up is really I thought it made me think about my best friend who passed, even down to the dancing part, because my best friend used to dance and she was upset that she couldn't dance anymore because of sickle cell. So it was a few times I almost turned it off because I just couldn't handle it, but I made it through, and both of them was a really good depiction of what it's like being in the hospital, what it's like dealing with the crisis, what it's like feeling the crisis. I thought they did really, really well.
The show I can't think of. The scene was they were at the beach and this young lady starts to have a crisis and they are they're going through her symptoms on beachside. And I believe the patient is not Black.
That's even better. That's good because it shows the diversity. And
Yeah.
we're used to it being African American disease, and anywhere I go, it's like, yeah, it might be most of us, but it's not all of us. So don't think just you're not Black that you're exempt. Andy Lord is a lobbyist here in Georgia, and he tells his story of having sickle cell trait all the time. And he talks about when he went to his grandma's house and to have that conversation, grandma didn't even want to talk about it.
She wanted to sweep it under the
rug. And he didn't find out that his family had sickle cell trait until his child was born. This is a straight white, no mix. He's a white man, but he tells his
blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah, and he advocates so hard for us here in Georgia. So yeah, just because you're not Black, don't think that you're exempt from sickle cell.
That was a shock to me when I started hearing white people talking about having sickle cell trait. And it was like, wow, we've been taught so much, and the myths that surround sickle cell trait, it's like, wow, we kind of need to re-educate ourselves because they ain't gonna do it. We need to seriously take control back and start learning the things that we should have learned, because our people are dying. People are dying. It's killing people. And it's just like, yeah, it gets me every time. It hurts. It hurts.
And I've heard when some of the white people present in the emergency room with the sickle cell crisis, they're not believed because they're white.
Yes. Yeah. I did one of the talks. One of the talks I did was about racial bias, and it was literally to kind of change people's perceptions on race because it is classified as a Black thing. So it's like, well, this woman is white and she was disbelieved because she's white, because how can you have sickle cell trait? So literally she was disbelieved because of her race. And it was like, wow, it was an eye-opening session that we spoke on. It was wow.
That's a whole nother
This is why, yeah. But this is why I I won't say I've shifted or pivoted, but I definitely have included in my advocacy for the medical profession to just treat the symptom. Don't worry about the label. Don't worry about the label because I mean, they get caught up in by my husband, who is a Black male of West Indian descent. His skin can be penetrated by a bullet, by a needle, but he was told by a white male nurse that his skin was too thick and his nurse could not get blood from his veins. And if you see my husband's hands, you can be 6 feet away from him and see his veins. But that white male nurse had experienced bias
So
in
disgusting.
his upbringing that told him, "Oh, Black people's skin is thick." And you're a nurse, and you know that we are more genetically alike than we are different. But so all the biases that come into play in a medical setting, and then you add sickle cell, just treat the symptoms. Don't worry about the label. If they're telling you they have pain, if they tell you they can't breathe, if they tell you, like the young lady on Facebook recently, Mia, that ended up having to be escorted, or not having to be, was escorted away from the hospital by security and ended up being accepted by another hospital only to be diagnosed with a real diagnosis that could have killed her because they decided she didn't have what she had. Just treat the symptom. Don't worry about the label. That's how a lot of the trait people can be helped and not killed. Because yes, their medical curriculum tells them sickle cell trait is not symptomatic. That's old. That's based on old science.
I was talking to someone I was talking to someone this morning. She's a parent of children with sickle cell trait. And she said, I feel so guilty because I didn't know and no one told me. I said, please don't feel guilty. There's not a lot of research on sickle cell trait. And even today, still doctors think it's very benign. So don't put that guilt on yourself that you didn't know and nobody told you. All of you are going through this journey and it's a learning process. And fortunately, but unfortunately, your kids will have to learn how to advocate for themselves. And she was like, well, my son didn't even want to tell anybody. I said, I get that, but please remind him that he's not telling people for pity. He's telling people to make people aware and hopefully for understanding of his situation. It's never for pity. It's more so you understand where I'm coming from. These are my boundaries. That's how I see that. I'm telling you this because these are my boundaries with what I can do. If you need anything outside of that, I might or I may not have the capacity to be able to do it, but this is what I'm dealing with. These are my boundaries, and this is how you're gonna have to deal with it. So yeah, please don't feel guilty because we all still learning about the symptoms of sickle cell trait in 2024.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have dealt with this. I know I have due to my hydrocephalus, but I've had people be like, "Oh, but you look normal.
All the
You're
time.
not disabled."
I hate that. I hate
I
what,
do too.
what does sick look like? I don't have to be crippled. I don't have to be, what does sick look like? Whether it's hydrocephalus, sickle cell trait, sickle cell disease. I hate that comment for the life of me.
Yeah.
I even made shirts that said, I am the face of sickle cell. You want to know what sickle cell looks like? Look at me. We look
And the
normal.
thing is, you can be in the worst state ever internally because you've lived with it for so long. You know how to handle the pain in a way that doesn't look like you're in pain.
We can be smiling and in pain on
Yeah.
on a level 20 pain scale and still smiling and talking to you like we're normal. I went to the emergency room a couple years ago because I needed to be admitted. The doctor told me because I wasn't rolling around the room and crying that I must not be hurting as much as I was. And I'm talking to him like I'm talking to you guys and told him there's nobody here with me. If I can't communicate with you what's wrong with me, how would you know? Of course, by the time I present to the ER, my pain level is off the charts because I was trying to keep from coming. So
Mhm.
and then when I experienced that, now I'm gonna cry because I'm frustrated and I really want to go across your head, but I
Mhm.
can't. I gotta stay sane. It's not the
Mhm.
pain that's making me cry, it's the frustration of dealing with your ignorance that's making me cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was in ICU and a nurse kept saying to me, "You look too good to be in here." And I'm like, I wish I felt as good as I look.
right.
It's the
Thank
And then
comments.
to realize,
What'd
I
you say,
take
Genesis?
I said it's the comments that you're like in the moment of what you're feeling, it really just like shifts
yeah,
everything. You're like, really? Like you just said
yeah,
that?
hmm
it's good
yeah.
to not look good even on my worst day, but can we address this first?
Issue,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I look, we all agree that this is truly, for those that claim that label, is a superpower, and I just I feel helpless because my personality flaw is I seek swift resolution, and everything can't
Mhm.
be resolved swiftly. But that is my personality trait, and I mean I feel helpless in a lot of ways. Sickle cell warriors are not helpless. I feel helpless in not being able to find, solution and make these doctors understand. But I am I am affirmed by this type of conversation. And
Mhm.
to the audience that will review it, and whatever, you know, unction that came from Genesis to have us created, and those of you to join it. I don't take it for granted. I do everything with everything that I have while learning how to budget my energy.
Mhm.
But Genesis, look, we are over by a minute. I'd like to give you the last word.
Yes. All right. Guys, I want to say thank you for joining. Mia, you did a great job of explaining the budgeting, your energy, the spoon theory. I love that technique. I think it is something that is amazing. And I think that's something that I'm going to start using. You guys did great, and we will be back next month with another topic. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month. All right.
Wait, Genesis. What
Yes, Pedro.
I like. What does it say on your shirt?
It's the Warrior's Rest from the
I like it. That's
consortium,
Yeah.
cool.
which
I
I think
like
a
it.
lot of us should take note of.
Definitely.
All
Well,
right.
I just before coming on here, I made sure that I napped. I tried to nap anyway. So I made sure I was napping and I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow.
Yes,
Great job on budgeting your energy.
that's
Thank
right.
you.
All right. See you guys.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for this.
Bye.